Seed structure. Structure of dicot and monocot seed. A seed is defined as a fertilized mature ovule that possesses embryonic plant, stored material and protective seed coats. Seed is the reproductive structure characteristic of all phanerogams. There are hundreds of variations in seed size, shape, color and surface. The seeds range in size from tiny dust particles as found in some orchids to large double coconuts. On the basis of number of cotyledons in the embryo, the angiosperms have been divided into two large groups, namely dicotyledonous having embryo with two cotyledons and monocotyledons with only one cotyledon. Coming to dicotyledonous seed. Example, gram seed. The gram seed is more or less round at one end and pointed at the other. It is covered by brown seed coat called testa, and the inner whitish coat is known as tegmen. At the pointed end of the seed, the testa bears a scar called hilum. It indicates the position of attachment of the seed to the fruit wall. Nearly about the hilum, there is a very minute opening known as a micropyle. The kernel is exposed when the seed coat is removed, which in the gram seed is nothing but the embryo. If the kernel is pressed, the two fleshy cotyledons are found, which remain laterally hinged to the axis of the embryo at a joint called the first node or the nodal zone. The lower part of the axis lying towards the pointed end is the radicle, which gives rise to the root system, and the upper part lying between the two cotyledons is the plumule, which gives rise to the shoot system. The plumule has a very minute leaves and looks like a feather. Food matter remains stored up in the fleshy cotyledons. So, the gram seed is dicotyledonous ex albuminous. Coming to the structure of monocot seed. Example is Zea mays. The maize grain is really one seeded fruit and not a seed. Hence it is called a grain. The seed coat and the fruit wall or pericarp are inseparable, united in the gram to form the outer pale yellowish coat. A whitish deltoid area is noticed on one side of the grain, which marks the position of the embryo. The embryo can be clearly seen if the grain is cut into two parts along the longer axis. It occupies only a very small portion of the grain, the remaining part being the endosperm or the stored food. The embryo has an axis with radicle and plumule. The radicle is surrounded by a sheath known as coleorhiza, and the plumule is also covered by a sheath known as coleoptile. A shield-shaped body called scutellum lies between the axis of the embryo and the endosperm, thus dividing the grain into two unequal parts. Scutellum is the single cotyledon of maize grain. It absorbs food from the endosperm for the embryo to be used during germination. Maize grain is monocotyledonous albuminous. This is the structure of the maize seed. Great. Thank you.